Look, obviously, the biggest challenge always that we hear is the budgetary challenge, right? But more often than not, there are ways we can identify how to resolve that. Then the second step of challenge is bigger than the budgetary challenge, and that is, currently the way public sector organizations generally are disparate systems and disparate data, and bringing all of that together into one place is the biggest challenge. And to make matters more difficult, the expectations from citizens are increasing. The citizens expect us to provide services from public sectors almost as if we are providing similar services through banks, and banks are way advanced in technology adoption. So that's the big expectation versus reality gap, and that's the biggest challenge in my opinion. And as we create solutions towards that, the other challenge that comes into the picture now is inward-looking challenge, and challenge is change management within the organization. When we go through this process of massive changes within the organization, we also have to look at how change management and training for the employees, public sector employees, is done well so that they are actually using the new sets of solutions well. Building shiny products using the same old business process is not always a good idea, right? And that's the one thing that we continuously always see. We're very privileged to be in a position where we get to serve public sector agencies. That is the most rewarding part of our job, and I actually get up every day thinking that yes, we're here to make an impact, even though we are in the private sector. But in my experience, one of the most rewarding has been the work that we did through COVID, and I still remember it. There was a time during thick of COVID, I got a call from the government of South Australia saying that we are going to be opening up the states next week. That means it's going to open up the floodgate of COVID infection within the states. We need a system that allows us to track all of this, not just contact tracing, but patient tracking and all of that. And I simply said, leave it to us. And we became a flexible partner in building a solution within a week, less than a week, and went live to be able to track patients as they were coming into South Australia. And that was the most rewarding piece of work that I've done. The biggest lessons that I've learned is, there is always this perception that government doesn't change fast enough, right? And that is actually not true. Everyone within the government want to change fast, and actually they do, right? And just the way they do it is different, and it's incumbent upon private sector organizations like us to really understand the mechanism of how government works, right? And if we can really adjust ourselves to how the government bureaucracy works, we can actually bring change within the organization fast. And that's the biggest lessons learned for me. Huge benefit. We've been partnered with PSN this is our 4th year, if I'm not wrong. And we're really thankful for it, right? Like, one of the biggest benefit is obviously brand development for us. And I'm going to be very honest about that, right? Like, it helps us kind of create our brand within public sector. But the second benefit, and that's the most important one and valuable one for us, is to hear the pain points that public sector servants that come and talk openly about it in a forum like this. It's very hard for us to get that in a one-on-one session or in individually, right? Like, but when we hear about the challenges that they are facing in a collective way, it allows us to actually cater our offerings to kind of solve those problems, and that's the biggest benefit of the partnership that we have.